What's good, my fantasy footballers? How y'all doing? Sorry about the last video. I think the audio is bad. It is the audio. It was the microphone through my AirPods rather than my mic here. And Apple, get your stuff together, man. Get your stuff together because y'all's microphone sucks on these. Anyways, my bad about that, guys. We're gonna break down some fantasy stuff. We're gonna break down some controversial decisions and situations that you might find yourself in and being like, damn, where should I go and what player should I take? And we're going to have that for you. And today we're going to break down Puka Nacua versus Garrett Wilson. Now, if you're looking for a bona fide wide receiver one, both of these guys got the opportunity to be just that for your football team. But you got two guys that kind of had opposite seasons in a way. I mean, nobody saw anything what Puka Nacua was going to do. He came out of nowhere. It was unprecedented what he did. Not only that he's a later pick in the 5th round, ends up winning. He ends up just breaking all sorts of rookie records on the receiving side. Garrett Wilson, unbelievable amount of talent, still was able to be, pretty dang productive with an absolutely abysmal situation that he had in the New York Jets after Aaron Rodgers got hurt last year. So we'll break it down. Let's get right into it. Before we do that, guys, check out my other videos. If you love fantasy sports, if you love Denver sports, if you love NFL, NBA, NHL stuff, we got it all here. Check out my other videos. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comment. I want to hear what you guys have to think. Let's grow this thing. Let's do it together. I appreciate you guys in advance. All right, guys, let's break it down here. Garrett Wilson versus Puka Nacua. Now, when you look at the ratings for last year, oops, that's the wrong one. We're going to go ahead and share this tab instead. So once you guys look at the fantasy points from last year, Puka Nacua finishes wide receiver 4. Without a doubt, a league winner, the best value you could have ever dreamt of having. A guy that didn't even get drafted in 99% of leagues. And he ends up finishing wide receiver 4 in total. And on a fantasy points per game, he was 6. Now, Garrett Wilson was a little bit disappointing. He still finishes at wide receiver 26, but this is somebody that people drafted in the 1st round or on the turn in the 2nd round, like your boy here. So I got a little bit of ill will towards him this year, should I? But anyways, when you break down the numbers, guys, you've got really a negligible difference when it comes to overall receptions. 105 receptions for Puka versus 95, but the target share for Garrett Wilson was higher at 168 versus 160 for Puka Nacua. So I think this year really sheds light into just how bad the quarterback situation was for Garrett Wilson rather than Puka Nacua. But don't forget it, this year we got Aaron Rodgers. We're going to assume it's a healthy year for Rodgers, and that is going to completely change everything for this team. When you look at the total yardage, Puka Nacua through the roof, 1,486, averaged 14 yards per catch, whereas it's 11 for Garrett Wilson. So we already know, guys, when you're looking at last year, we already know, obviously Puka is a lot better, but it's a different season. It's not the same this year as it was last year, strictly because of the quarterback situation that we got going on. So when you look at a lot of the different factors that we look at specifically for quarterbacks, we always think for wide receivers, we always think, okay, what's their quarterback situation like? What kind of offense are they in? What's their injury history? What's their talent level at, etc. So when you really break that down, you can look at it and say, all right, we got the LA Rams with Sean McVay running the offense. Obviously, he's elite. The most underrated quarterback, at least of my generation, probably Matthew Stafford, throwing the ball there. So that's really, really good. But on the other side, you got Aaron Rodgers. Yes, Nathaniel Hackett is pathetic. The worst offensive coordinator, the worst head coach ever. Don't even get me started, but that's Aaron Rodgers' guy, so it is what it is. Aaron Rodgers has the ability, even if he's 80% himself, to take this Jets offense to whole new heights, for sure. And so I think it's going to be really elite as well. And I think it's almost a wash when you look at the two offenses. They both throw the ball to running the ball at about the same ratio. They both got really good quarterbacks, and they're both incredibly talented. So they're really even in those major metrics. When you start to look at other things, you start to really boil it down to, okay, what kind of division are they in? What's the injury history like? Both divisions, ranked about the same. I wouldn't look at it too much. Opportunities or targets is probably the most important metric you can look at. They're both getting elite target share with 160, 168 respectively for both. So it's really even across the board. Now, when you look at the pure talent of these players, they're both extremely talented, really in different ways. Garrett Wilson is an incredible route runner. He's a dog. He's somebody that just creates separation and just gets open and can be dangerous with the ball in his hands after the catch. Puka Nacua is a very physical, give me the ball, I'll catch everything type of a receiver, but he still has that ability to really stretch the field as he showed last year. And he's a beast in the red zone. But you would expect somebody like Puka Nacua to be more of a beast in the red zone. But Garrett Wilson's also really good in the red zone too because he doesn't he has a very, very high target share. So here's my thing when I look at it. There's a lot more question marks this year still with Garrett Wilson than there is with Puka Nacua. A, because Puka's recently done it and you kind of know what you're going to get. The question marks lie a little bit more with the health of Aaron Rodgers. How's the offense going to look? Are they going to run the ball a lot more than they did last year with Breece Hall because they're going to be in games a lot more often? Is Breece Hall going to eat a lot into that target share? So those are some questions that you really got to get to asking yourself when it comes to deciding between Puka Nacua and Garrett Wilson. 80% of the experts on Fantasy Pros, which is the website I was just showing, 80% went with Garrett Wilson. And I can understand why, because you got to factor in the Cooper Kupp effect for Puka Nacua. Even when Cooper Kupp came back, Puka still kept up with his the same amount. His target share was still consistent. He was still really wide receiver one as he worked back into it. So that was a big positive to see. But is that going to remain the same for the entirety of the season? So if I was to make a decision, if it was going to be me that I had to choose one person or the other, I'm personally still going to choose Puka Nacua. I'm going to go kind of against the norm of choosing Garrett Wilson over Puka because, even if, even with Cooper Kupp coming in, I feel like Puka can, he's still going to keep his target share high. I think he's only going to be able to build on his rookie season. Is he going to be able to exceed it? Is he going to be able to make that huge year 1 to year 2 leap? Probably not. He might even digress because his numbers were ungodly last year. But Puka is just somebody that when you watch him, he's just good all the time. He's just solid. And Sean McVay is going to dial up plays for him to get open. And I think you're going to get a lot more consistency. Whereas with Garrett Wilson, I think you might have some games that are a little bit more quiet, depending on the game script. I think Breece Hall is going to be elite this year for him. And there's a lot of unknowns still with Aaron Rodgers. I just personally can't trust that. Yes, I'm still probably a little bit salty because he really screwed me in a couple of leagues last year. But I'm rolling with Puka Nacua confidently. But really, you can't go wrong with either of these guys. That's really the point of this particular series of the Who Should I Draft series is both guys you're not going to be able to go wrong with, but it's going to help tip the scale to help hopefully get you to make the right decision to get you guys championships. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Would you choose Garrett Wilson or would you roll with Puka Nacua? Probably the coolest name in the entire NFL, man. Puka. So let me know what y'all think. Until then, spend time with those people that you love. And mile high salute, go Broncos to everybody out there. And take it easy, guys. Peace out.